got that. My name is Hummy Man. I'm the creator and director of the program, and I want to welcome all family, friends, and parents, and significant others, etc., to our graduation ceremony 2022. When I first started this program almost 30 years ago, I never imagined that it would still be going, let alone become a master's degree program, a fully accredited master's degree program. This is our 11th year of graduating master's students, which I'm proud of, but I'm even more proud of the fact that our students have been so successful. We have a number of composers that have been hired as staff composers of video game companies, composers that we have graduates who've orchestrated major motion pictures. I was very pleased to use 2 of our graduates on a film that I scored last summer, and will forever now use my own students for orchestrating my films, which is great. Also, we have students who are getting co-writing credit on television and film projects, and so we actually have one of the highest success rates of any of the master's programs offered at SFI, so we're very proud of that. And I know many parents in the room are going, "Wait, you're doing music for a living? What kind of craziness is that?" Because I had to go through that, so I'm imagining it's probably still out there. However, you know, your students are joining a very select group of people that are doing quite well in the industry, and we're very proud of that fact. As you could hear from the music that we were playing as you were coming in and just sitting around today, that was all music recorded last week that students all composed Tuesday. Oh God, it was this week. Time goes. The last couple of days have been a blur for me. So I meet with every student individually for an hour and a half, or an hour and 15, or an hour and a half to discuss what they did in the program. I review every single piece of music that was written. It's a pretty big job. Anyway, it's what I do. I love it. So we're going to start the day with a screening of 9 films that the students composed the scores to. It's not even all of this music that we wrote. We actually scored closer to 15 films. We were trying to figure out the exact number, 15 or 16. So we don't even have time to show you all the work that the students produced this year. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to get on, and we'll continue on with the rest of the ceremony.
We live in a time when magnificence is taken for granted. Extraordinary is ordinary. Located at the corner of Connecticut and Grand, just a minute's walk away from Tower Grove Park, sits an upstairs bar that offers a fresh take on familiar favorites. No, the Night Owl may not use exotic ingredients or kitschy presentation. It's not flashy, it's not particularly trendy, but in this reviewer's honest opinion, there is no better place to enjoy a cocktail with your coworker, your spouse, or your best friend.
Occupado.
You gotta see this.
What are you doing? This is the bathroom.
It's unisex.
What?
Not just a bakery. It's exactly what we've been looking for. Apparently they have this crazy talented chef with the best quiche in town. And they're asking us to review it.
Big time, baby.
Straight to the top.
But I've been waiting to show me this.
I'm sorry.
Out.
Oh, okay. Donnie, I'm thinking we have a problem.
I was thinking the same thing.
Cover your mouth like this. I'm thinking someone spit in our rosemary and goat cheese quiche.
Why would somebody do that?
I have no idea why, but that's exactly what I think happened. How are we supposed to review this thing?
Should we eat around it?
Eat around it? I don't want to eat around it.
Neither do I.
We have to do something. My God. The chef.
sorry. The kitchen is off limits to customers.
Spatting our food. We know it was you. Who does that?
So you don't recognize me then? I even keep it in my bookmarks. Luigi's Table is a newcomer to the burgeoning St. Louis brunch scene, but has already become a classic in the minds of many. In much the same way, Luigi's young chef, Julia Newell, has achieved something very few chefs can in this town. Wide appeal with a voracious following. Wide appeal with a voracious following?
That sounds like a cool place. I'd eat there. I don't see the issue.
You're really making us work for this review.
She might attack me. What is your deal?
I used to have a real passion for cooking. But after your review, we never had a minute to enjoy ourselves. Lunch or dinner, it was always a rush. I couldn't take it. So I left.
I promise we were only trying to help.
You want to help? Never review my food ever again.
Listen, I know how it feels to get burnt out. Sometimes eating at a restaurant is the last thing I want to do. But you know what Ronnie and I always try? We go for a drive. Sometimes you get so caught up in your own stuff, you forget to be adventurous, to try new things, to get weird. Let's go for a drive.
Does it work?
Hasn't failed yet.
Let's go.
Been looking for peace, but you still got a piece of my mind. Hold on. Listen. I got a dinner to eat. 2 shoes I gotta put on my feet. I got tasks on a daily basis that I gotta defeat. So many songs that I'm trying to release. Can't compete, cause my only big opponent is me. Can't fight a war on 2 fronts, on my back to the beat. I've been raised to whatever, fall to the streets. Instead I'm falling to a sign of a queen. Falling when I'm trying to be free. Moving on, but I keep on trying to redeem what seems to be lost, but I'm still finding things I claim but can't toss. Trying to grind myself, was too caught up. No matter what I focus on, you get thought up. I cringe anytime your name get brought up. Yeah, so I'm saying that we split. Every moment that we have is a gift for still giving. Wish I could be focused, but my mind is somewhere else too much. Moving on, but I keep slowing up. Been looking for peace, but you still got a piece of my mind. Yeah, okay, if you hadn't noticed, I've been holding off on giving up. But I hate to make you wait forever. Been looking for peace, but you still got a piece of my mind. Yeah, okay, peace of mind and peace of time together. Hey, I'm trying to make us last forever. Memories and cruising just to measure what we had and who can make it better. Yeah, suicide, something that I know I'll probably never do. But what's your perfect life without you? Check me out, see, I said please don't say it's okay, cause I ain't feeling that way. I ain't even how to even see in my face. What's the point of lying there, nothing I gain? Still I keep trying when I know I can't stay. Saying that it's silly when I know I can't explain. Trying to stay close when I know I need space for myself out there, but still feel the same. Yeah, I still feel the pain, the heartbreaking when I never thought the plan on the heart changing, no saving. Yet I'm still lost, I ain't found a location.
It's perfect. The best ones yet.
Only one way to find out now.
Oh my god.
That's good quiche.
And the the world we live in, food has taken on so much meaning, more than what it once did. A meal is a way of connecting with your culture, showing someone you care, or expressing yourself creatively. But when that creative expression is...
Stop! No more review! I can't let you guys ruin my life again.
This is our job.
That's what we came here for.
But we're friends now. Come on.
Yeah, I like reading books. I mean, who doesn't, right? I was reading an old philosophy book recently that has all the big names and confusing stories and boring theories. And I was just jumping around the page to see if I can find something interesting. And then I found the Sisyphus story. I don't know if you heard it before. If you believe Homer, he was the wisest and prudent of the mortals. Somehow he got punished by the gods. His punishment is to ceaselessly roll a rock to the top of the mountain. Eventually, the roll would fall back to the other side. I don't remember the whole story, but I got the point. Camus is saying that life is meaningless, and we all live in a world which is not different than Sisyphus's. We all do something, make plans for the future, have a little bit of fun, and that's it. He calls Sisyphus an absurd hero because he found meaning in his meaningless life. But the thing is, Camus denies any escape from facing the meaningless. And it is difficult to say, but I was escaping all the time. I haven't been out for a long time. That is basically the idea that pushed me to come here, to make a difference in my life. There is no sun without shadow, and it is essential to know the shadow. That is what I do. I am trying to learn the shadow. I just wanted to go out. Believe me, I've suffered a great many petty miseries of human life, which, if written in a book, might have served to amuse some people, but I'd had to put them through myself. I must say they were not pleasant experiences, not at all. However, I'm glad I found a way to plug a little bit of courage. You understand that in cases like this, it's surprisingly difficult to know what one can, may, and must do. But wandering, we find our way, and not by sitting still.
Here we are. Oh, no, you don't.
We can still get a refund.
You promised that you wouldn't back out.
Well, people change their minds all the time, which is why they created refunds.
You'll be fine.
Babe, I'm scared.
No, that's not gonna work this time. Come on, you'll be fine. Let's go. Alright, we're good. We got this. Alright?
Oh, why are they making those sounds?
You good? Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I won't laugh. Alright?
Okay.
We got this.
We're okay. I got this. I got this. I'm so
bad
good.
Bitch.
I'm
You're a
such
bad bitch.
Okay, I'm not a bad bitch. I don't think I can handle any more of this.
You're good. You're fine. We're almost there.
No, I don't want to do this. Take me to the exit now. I'm scared.
Serious? Can you not handle this right now? I mean, we literally just started the maze.
You're the one that thought this was a great idea. You know how scared I get.
Well, I thought maybe you might suck it up for once because we literally can't do anything because you're always scared.
Well, maybe you could try encouraging me to be brave instead of yelling at me.
Hey guys, you can't just stand here. You have to keep moving.
So sorry.
yeah.
Where's the exit? I'm pretty sure that's a fire hazard.
Yeah, we'll keep walking. Thank you. Appreciate it. Come on. Now you look crazy.
Oh, I look crazy. You know what, Alex? I know how much you're secretly scared of clowns, so I hope a clown scares you today. Have fun.
See, you're fine.
You have reached the end of your journey. You must each choose a path to walk, but you may only go alone.
Excuse me, alone?
Yes, he'll choose a path and then you'll go in the other.
This is officially the worst thing you've ever made me do.
Have fun.
You're a bad bitch. You're a bad bitch. You're a bad bitch. It's all just really great production value. Nothing to be scared of. Why are you looking at me like that? Oh, wow. Oh, that felt nice. Oh, I really needed that. Wow, that really isn't as bad as I thought. You were great. You really had me there. So, oh, is this the way to the exit? Okay. Okay.
Your time's up. There's other people waiting.
Hey, Jeff, this is Tim. We got another crier. Male, about 5'8". You know, I bet that witch doesn't have to deal with this kind of crap.
Son of a witch. Alright, Come on, buddy.
What? No, I don't want to.
You're good. You're alright. Come on. Come on. It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Come on.
It's cool.
Let's go. Yeah, come on.
It's not that bad.
No, stop, God. Oh, fucking, get me out of here, get me out of here.
Yeah, I gotta call my agent.
That was great. I had a fantastic time. I wasn't scared at all. Can you believe that?
Is this one yours?
Yeah. What happened to you?
Will we please just go?
Hi, I want to go in again. That was so fun.
Babe,
Yeah?
too many clowns.
Oh, the clowns got
Yeah.
you. Okay. How about we relax at home with the movie?
Yeah,
Sound good?
that sounds good, yeah.
Okay.
What movie?
It.
Oh, no, please.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
No.
Mhm.
It's a cliche. I think people think like retouching is new, and it is not. Retouch exists since photography was invented. Even in the 40s, the 50s, when they put those images in the magazines and everything, it was airbrushed or brushed up, etched, and everything. It was been part of that fashion world, I guess, of selling something, you know, like a dream or something perfect. I was into graphic arts, like illustrations, and I really like photography as well, and I was not sure which path to take. One day I find this paper about work around photography world, and I find retouching. I did the last class of the time in Paris in '88. And there was like four big labs that I remember. So everybody knew each other, you know, it was really like a big family. Retouchers, they had their own touch. You know, we could see differences between maybe who retouch who. Of course, we used to have like the emulsion that filter out some of the flows, you know. Then you print it, and already, you know, there's a smoothness to it, some sensuality, you know.
Okay, so this photo shoot was for a campaign that was shot by Deborah Tuberville. She passed away a few years ago. She was a great photographer. It was shot in Sicily on this beautiful castle. It was one of these old-fashioned castles. You know, everything was kind of like gold and a little bit gaudy. Anyway, but when we photographed it, me as a retoucher, I was trying to say, listen, we need to get more extra backgrounds, because some of these pictures were shot very close and, you know, couldn't get the whole thing, especially for double-page spreads. And so, you know, I was able to put a lot of input on that when I was there. And we were able to also develop the color tone, you know, the palette, which was important, you know, for the client to see at the time, and to see, like, you know, where's the direction and how the photographer wanted to see it, and like the client would be happy with it as well. I used to work for US Color Lab for a long time, and I used to be the manager there, and I set up a photo retouching area, and after, you know, years, I've developed a clientele, and I decided to go on my own, and I partnered up with a friend of mine. His name was Riaz, and we opened up a photo lab called Grand Photo Solutions. It was on 17th Street between 5th and 6th. We invested a lot of money in, you know, processing equipment and a whole bunch of digital equipment and printing, and that's where I started developing my clientele. So here, anyway, here's actually how I kind of began my career. So I have it here for old time's sakes and for memory. And it was actually not much, really, because she looked well at the time. She was very young, and so she didn't want to look overly done. She just wanted very subtle, and she was a little bit overweight, not too much. I mean, for standards, but she didn't want to be thinned down or anything like that. It was to keep it very simple. But you had to take care of a couple of things. And if you look at it, see how it's a little soft and makes her look more kind of like more of a beauty shot, But it wasn't that many comments. It was basically, keep it little things, hair, this, that, the basic notes that, you get from everyone.
I think people hate retouching because they feel like they're being misled, lied to. And I can't really argue with them on that point. To me, the biggest problem with retouching isn't the retouching itself, but it's the secrecy and lack of transparency with it. I didn't know that retouching was even a job. I got into photography while I was studying an illustration, trying to solve my illustration problems with photography. So I have always approached image making and storytelling sort of with an illustrative approach. It's like, what can we do with the power of an image to convey meaning and message, and what are the things we're doing to make sure that message comes through the way that we intended it? There's a retouching boutique called Gloss. It's one of the oldest, most prominent boutique retouching, the tier of the tier. They often refer to themselves as blue chip. I was very lucky to be trained there. I spent 3 years there, learning everything that I could. And while I was there, I would see frequent, repeated comments about skin texture, skin color, certain body shapes and body types, sort of a lot of time at the highest level in photography, the beauty standard is very narrow. And I started questioning, well, why are we making these changes?
By hand, it could be extensive, or it could be more subtle. A lot of time, I have to remove or blend down, the face hair around the chin. It's a common thing to do, especially with sidelights. Okay, on this one, I lighten, soften the under eye. The bag effect is very sharp. A little scar here. Some blemishes on the chin, and that's about it. I retouch the elbow and soften the wrinkles on the curve here. I retouch, little things here and there on the negative and especially on the hairline, and the stretch mark around here. There's not much to do actually on this image, but I work on the knees, make them better, and I guess I've been part of making Giselle legs so famous,
And retouching is not always about, making the girl thinner and all that. It's about maybe reshaping the outfit to fit her better, and it gives her a little bit more of a fullness. and that kind of thing. So you see, for example, like here, the chest looked like they were coming out from, it was too tight. So basically, we had to bring the material more in and just kind of like make it look like it's more fitted versus her like her cleavage popping right out of the swimsuit. And then her legs, you see, we made her a little wider so you could have more of a curve because she was a little bit too skinny. And, and then basically balancing the skin tones all around so you could have a more of all the same color from top to bottom. And color correcting the water a little bit because it was a little bit more muddier.
So how it works is you have the photo shoot, you take the pictures on set, the creative vision is set. After the photos are taken, whoever is involved decides what the final edit is going to be, selects the images from the photo shoot that are going to be passed on to post-production, and then they mark them up, which can be physical notations on a piece of paper, or it can be, more often than not, it's a PDF. And more often than not, the comments are, what I would consider fairly standard. A hair will have shown up in a shot that isn't favoring the overall composition. It really, most of the time, the markups are about how do we make this picture better. Unfortunately, sometimes that gets mixed up with our internal biases about how people should look. Very often, those biases involve, have racial implications, expecting people to be smaller than they are, reducing skin texture or fine lines that are normal. And I think that those kinds of comments they're not in service of the greater image.
I remember when Photoshop came out and it was still very expensive and time-consuming process. In the mid-90s to the early 2000s, it's like it became the thing. Over time, all those little, basic retouching thing you had to do, like, clean something in the background, he'd be outsourced, to India, Indonesia. I started to lose my clients one by one because they switched to the digital, I think in the hand retouch days, you were really trusted in what you do, so the photographer were very attentive and cautious on the shoot. Everybody from the makeup artist, the hair, the stylist, everybody was try to get as perfect for the pictures because, after eventually, you do a bit of printing and a bit of hand retouch and that's it. It looks beautiful. Now, I think with the digital, the thing is that people get carried away because you could do more, they felt like they had to do more, and sometimes too much.
Usually the photographer drives the vision, but there's certain actresses, celebrities that want to have a certain look, and they're very particular, and they would definitely put their input, but not me directly with me. They'll have someone in the middle, their agent or their assistant, and we have that dialogue. But so the hard part for me is that sometimes the photographer wants it a certain way. Oh, make her more skinnier. And the other one says, no. And she says, I look too skinny. I want to go a little bit more back. So it's always this balance between the client and the photographer, and you always got to find the middle point. I have two daughters, right, and my wife, and they always looking at these images, and they even though they know I'm a retoucher, right, they look at these images like, oh, look how pretty it is. I'm like, half of that is fake, it's because, not that it's fake, it captures the overall essence of the person, right, but it's so, every little detail's, taken care of so it looks perfect.
The whole process doesn't have any inherent virtue or vice, the people, the individual artists who are doing the work really believe in the fun of fashion, of the storytelling of fashion, of hair and makeup, of how you can express who you are through regalia and like birds, but it gets so convoluted through the need to sell, and the advertising machine really has honed in on anti-perfection, pointing out your flaws to get you to buy their stuff.
As soon as I finish the job, I write it down and figure out the number, and then I give it to my wife to bill it out. See? So this is this month. So this is a good month. Not too bad.
I think that why I'm having so much space in my career now and why my point of view of ethical retouching is growing is because more women are getting access to how these images are created, what the perspective is. For a long time, the only acceptable plus-size body was an hourglass figure. And that's changing now. I think social media has a lot to do with changing who is allowed to be a model.
I'd like to tell you a story. A story about a young boy. A boy not so different from you or I. A boy who loved to dream. Dream of worlds with monsters and creatures. One day, after the sudden abandonment of his father, he desperately wished for a way to escape his world. A wish that would come to be true. From the base of a whittling tree, a world of beauty awaited him. Eager to explore, the boy began to wander.
Hello?
However, as night began to fall, the forest turned dark and cold. Without a light to guide him through the shadow, he became lost.
Is anyone out there?
But the boy was not alone, for a shepherd of the forest had been awakened by his calls. The shepherd offered to guide him back to his world, and through their journey, a friendship was born.
Why are you telling me this, Grindel? I've heard this story so many times.
This was the first story I told you, long ago when we first met. Do you remember?
Of course I do. But it doesn't have an ending.
All good endings come with time. Stephen, I'll be leaving here tonight.
What?
A long time ago, I promised to look after you until you could fly on your own. The time has now come. I must return to my world now.
Wait. You can't. You just can't.
I'm afraid this is where we must part. But do not fear, my son, for you are now ready.
Grindel? Are you real? Or are you just a part of my imagination?
Your imagination belongs to you and you alone, Stephen. So tell me, am I real? They're calling me home. See you around, kid. Arriving at the crossroad between worlds, the boy asked the shepherd to become his guardian. The boy, fatherless, and the shepherd, in some ways, a father himself, agreed to watch over the boy until he was able to fly on his own, knowing that one day he would have to return to tend his own children. The trees of the whittling forest. And as for the boy, well, he was ready to fly.
blood. Case closed. People don't appreciate me in this town. My work is a thankless job, but someone's got to do it. If it weren't for me, who would have solved that cat burglary case? Sure, the cats were strays and the burglar turned out to be the local animal shelter. But thanks to me, no feline in this town ever needs to fret. When I'm out of the office, I like to sit and watch. Every passerby is a potential suspect or victim. Every moment may present a clue or piece of evidence for an unsolved crime. You never know who or what you might run into. What's this guy's deal? Huh. I wonder what's in that briefcase. This man must be up to no good. Anything can be in that case. Drugs, weapons, stolen, confidential, top secret government documents. He could be up to anything. I've got him cornered. It's just me and him. Everything is led up to this. It's my duty to get to the bottom of it. Piece of cake.
Are you following me?
No?
Who are you?
I'm a detective. You know, they say struggle always leads to They never said it would be easy. Mom, I got punched. Yeah, I got away. Another case closed and in the books. Can you come pick me up, please? Thanks.
In the final stages of being finished, the ones that had the numbers on the bottom, that's time code. That's how the composers figure out how to match the music to the picture. There's a lot of technology involved in it. Obviously, we touch every style of music known to man. Jazz, French, bossa nova, Gothic, so we do almost everything. The films come from film schools all over the country, and we also get submissions from out of the country. One of the films is from Canada. We've had films from the UK, from Brazil, from Mexico. So we're very pleased about the fact that our notoriety has gotten so people are really noticing us, so that's great. The other thing I was going to say is that, so a lot of those pictures, all of these pictures we get from schools from all over the world, and these scores that the students write actually become the actual scores for those films. They're not practices. They actually use these when they show the films. Some of the films play in festivals, and sometimes when we do longer films, the short films, like up to half an hour, they get, pretty good notice. One of our films that we did a couple years ago, it got picked up by Netflix, I think it is, or Amazon, so Amazon Prime. So sometimes they actually become, out there in the public for everybody to see. But typically they play a lot of festivals, and especially the shorter ones because they can't get released in the theaters. So we're at the point in our schedule now where we're going to have our guest speaker. We have a guest speaker every year, and I'm trying to see, is Lance here? Yeah. Oh, there we go. Up on the upper level. I didn't see him before the show. So today our guest speaker's name is Lance Hayes, who is an award-winning composer with over 30 years of experience working in media, advertising, television, and video game soundtracks. Some of his projects include composing and producing the music for Nike Plus Connect Fitness, Gears of War 3, and scoring the original soundtracks to the sensational Forza Motorsport series. One of his notable projects was composing the massive Xbox One launch title soundtrack to Forza Motorsport 5. His clients and tie-in projects include Adobe, Activision, Disney, Discovery Channel, Warner Brothers, Best Buy, National Geographic, Harpo Inc., MTV, McDonald's, and many others. One of the pinnacles of his career has been teaching the game audio and composition and advanced MIDI 1 for the Masters of Music program at the Pacific Northwest Film Scoring Program. Unfortunately, he got so busy he couldn't continue doing it. And the Summer Intensive program, which he does to this day, although we haven't offered it for the last couple of years due to COVID. In audio media for the Seattle Film Institute. So he's done a bunch of work with us, and it's really a pleasure to have him here today. Outside the university, Lance has delivered dozens of lectures for organizations such as Microsoft Research, the Game Developers Conference, and PAX Development. Currently, he's producing live streams, podcasts, and videos for Costco's corporate office. Recent game soundtrack projects have included work for the Disney Company and indie studios in traditional and VR content development. So he works in a field that I personally don't do very much in, so I'm very anxious to hear what he has to say. He's a great guy and a friend of mine, so everybody please welcome Lance Hayes.
So, how about those films? I mean,
Probably don't need microphone, you don't stand at home.
oh, okay, this is right. Turn around. You can hear me okay? Yeah. Great. Okay. So I did prepare a little bit of work here. It's not every day you get to do a commencement address, so I'm kind of excited. So, as Tommy said, I've been working in the industry for about 30 years, and I've done a lot of game soundtracks primarily, and a lot of work in film and television that got licensed, so I prepared some remarks, so I'm going to read a lot. If I get long-winded, just blot or something. Okay. All right. Hello, Pacific Northwest Film Scoring Class of 2022. My name is Lance Hayes, and it's my great privilege to be here today with you to share some wisdom about my music, life, and what may lie ahead of you as you develop your careers. I've spent most of my professional life around music, audio, and multimedia. As a composer and sound designer, I've worked on projects you may have heard of, and many you may have not. I should take my mask off. It's okay? Yes. Okay. Whew, that's better. Okay. It is a little hard to do. So I want to share a little perspective, some personal history, and some suggestions. Businesses, corporations, agents, producers, directors, friends, enemies, family, and even your other enemies all want music. We need music, they say. During a meeting, they'll say something like, we want music like the stuff in Batman. Which Batman project exactly may or may not be established during this meeting. Though through your carefully crafted industry connections, or when you're starting out, maybe an aunt's recommendation, they find you and decide that after listening to your work, you can compose the music for their project. Also, the project is nearly done. Can you deliver the soundtrack next week? The trials start early because no one believes you can do it. On your first project, you're not even sure if you can do it. Also, no one says, people are going to get rich in this field. They imply that this may be how you starve to death in front of your family and friends. aren't musicians all drinkers, you know, with tattoos? This is your aunt who's worried, and it really sounds more like a statement than a question. This is the aunt who was excited to impress her colleagues by bringing you in for the Batman gig. She followed her bliss, had a great career, and married well. You always thought so, and she was remarkable, and everybody who meets her agrees. She says this to you at a family birthday for your nephew who thinks you're cool, but has trouble building consensus on the subject with anyone over 10 years old. You're the best musician in your family, or maybe, like me, you're not. My mom was a violin prodigy, and my stepdad went to Curtis and studied percussion with Hinger. I'm far from the best musician in my family. Unless you count my stepmom, who's tone deaf, I held the bottom position out of 6 immediate family musicians for most of my youth. Did the rigorous professional background my parents displayed as musicians, educators, and performers help prepare me for being a musician? Yes. Did they believe I could make it as a musician? No, not really. They were incredible performers who had social skills to match, and I was a quiet kid that loved make-believe and movie soundtracks and showed a modest aptitude for trumpet. I wasn't working on their level. So no one noticed when I started developing the notion in junior high that I wanted to be a composer. No one would have predicted that I would eventually win awards and industry acclaim, work on massive projects, or have my music recorded and enjoyed worldwide. That would have seemed pretty much impossible if you'd heard what I was cranking out when I first endeavored into the field. Those were some tough times for me. My sheet music was uninspired and only written in treble clef. When I shared my work with my parents, they would say, "Oh, it's lucky you're good at sports." And as you can guess, I was not good at sports. The trouble really began when I developed an interest in composing along with sound and music synthesis in the early 1980s. I was in junior high, and I had been transitioning from a steady diet of classical music and John Williams soundtracks that made my youth to electronic music thanks to the works of Tomita when Carlos's Switched on Bach series. They were gateways to Tangerine Dream, Vangelis, and eventually pop music. And that led me to start thinking about writing and producing my own work in a home studio. In those hazy early days, reaching out for something that wasn't well-defined, home studios were really rare at that point. I found a partner in crime whose name was Dan. He and I were following down a similar path. He was a drummer who also had a background in keyboards. We wanted to pursue music full-time on our own terms, and that, as they say, was the tipping point. I broke many rules, in my household anyway, and started to teach myself piano and singing in jazz choir. I saved enough money from summer and after-school jobs to buy my first synthesizer. It's a Roland Juno 106 that I still have to this day. I collected some additional gear and bought a Tascam 4-track recorder. I stuck with this plan through high school, and by the time I was 18, I had a tiny little home studio with enough electronic equipment to really annoy my parents. It's all been uphill from there. I should note that even years later, as my career began to take off, my mom was generally supportive, but still unimpressed and slow to come around. While working on my early game soundtracks, she suggested that I consider something more profitable, like one of those jobs that requires you to carry a briefcase to work. She couldn't see me making a go with these tools, and the fact that I wasn't a top-shelf virtuoso was kind of disqualifying in her experience. So I hope you've had good support to get where you are now. I hope you have people around you who never questioned your skill, but if you haven't had a doting parent or a committed teacher, take heart. The only one who can really tell what's inside you is you. At a high level, many things make music a challenging field, and it often feels like the world is actively working to stop us from doing this thing that we love. But that same world needs us to do what we do. It just has a weird way of showing it. When you hear the story of a 9-year-old Ukrainian girl who lost everything listening to a recording and gracefully gliding into her ballet recital in a street that's covered in debris and broken glass, where there was cold resignation, a smile spread across her face for a fleeting moment, you know that music has a magic all its own. A piece of music, a song, or a melody can transport you to a different time and bring back distinct feelings you often forgot you had or could have. Like a time machine that can travel backwards and into this moment, music is flexible in how it can be enjoyed. When Running Up This Hill can simultaneously capture the imagination of 3 generations of listeners after appearing in a streaming series, inspiring millions of listeners in new ways 37 years after it was released, that's power. Not to be outdone, orchestral and chamber compositions have been engaging listeners for over 400 years. Folk music from all over the world has held a place in our hearts for millennia. That's what immortality looks like, or at least as close as we'll get to it. Why this is complicated. Some music survives by accident, and some survives by design. All of it was written by someone like you. Someone who was dedicated to the sort of music, dedicated to it in a way that their peers were not. They all had their dark times, from the humblest to the most successful. They all shared their work with family and friends who began to worry that they would not make it in their chosen field. They all had to combat the sense that they wouldn't be able to do it. They all stayed up and worked when others had gone to bed because they were driven to find those perfect chords or notes to finish the piece of music they were working on. something that would resonate, something real. Excuse me. The composer who wrote Manamana, Piero Ulimani, for the adult film market, didn't know that he would be famous for this song. What's more, it was written on piano late at night while his daughter was trying to sleep. He was trying to find the perfect notes for a perfect piece of music that could be just another track for a film. Instead, his song will likely be hummed by anyone with access to Muppet videos until the end of time. So how do you do it? How do you keep working when the world wants you to stay away and go away and simultaneously compose your finest work? It starts by being prepared and ensuring your music is compelling. So here's some suggestions. People like your music or any music because it moves them. It takes them somewhere emotionally that they have never been or would like to visit again. It can say things to them that they are not expecting or help them sort out mixed emotions based on what's happening around them. Music is both the most immediate and simultaneously one of the most mysterious of the arts. As a composer, you may get a lot of time to say something musically simple, or in other cases, you may have to get an emotion across in a very compressed time frame, as I'm sure everyone here knows. Sometimes it can seem like the desire to create the most significant work of your life is being tested. Your ideas are being summarily dismissed by some process that will lead to an excellent experience for the viewer, but risks significantly altering your music in a way that will render your current draft flat and lifeless in the final version. How do you make your work compelling under these circumstances? How do you create powerful statements that keep the work fresh? Every multimedia format has these same issues and can take many months to work on, so the job size is not really a consideration when trying to maintain passion and effulgence. So what's the secret to writing fantastic music for soundtracks? Aside from listening, showing up on time, and many other standard job requirements for performing at an above average level, compelling music and success in most composing requires something more. In my experience, it requires heart, strength, precision, excellence, and a hunger to create and expand. You may get some distance without these concepts, but you're going to accomplish more with them implemented and working in parallel. In all creative pursuits, your will is going to be tested. You have to be focused and hungry and ready, so you're prepared when the proverbial luck shines on you. The personal strength you bring to the project will allow you to handle with grace under pressure the bumps and curves in the road that the industry and the medium will throw at you. Many projects require you to work long hours and take few breaks for a significant time. You will need all of your excellence created through education, practice, and experience to keep high-quality work flowing if you want to traverse these waters successfully. You'll need much heart to not lose sight of your craft and to bring top-quality work to the project while the hours have grown small, and you alone are pouring your soul into a queue no one's approved yet. Delivering time and again, on time, is the key to getting the job done well. High standards for technical aspects of the process and accuracy in meeting the audio requirements require precision over great timelines and even distances. There's not much room for mistakes at certain junctures, and in many cases, there's not a lot of tolerance for error. You must deliver your music and work with great precision and confidence. What it all boils down to is this. In my experience, to write compelling music, you need to have chops and desire, and you can't let criticism or a change of plans derail you. You must have room to create and a willingness to work until it's done. You must have a plan to deal with the encumbrances that will manifest unexpectedly during your project, and you must be willing and able to change course without breaking stride at any given moment. You must know, understand, and govern the music technologies that will help you get to the finish line rather than letting them control or undermine you. You must be honest with yourself and your audience. You must be bold and fearless as you travel out into the chasm that separates what is creatively asked of you and the finished score. You know you can do this. I know you can do this. You've received some of the finest training with Hami and his team, and you know that if you were the best or the sixth best musician in your family or your school, you're going to go as far as you want from here. The world doesn't know, and likely won't, until you nail that Batman score. So bring heart and passion to your work and deliver with precision, excellence. Your strength will carry you through the lean or difficult times, and always stay hungry for new challenges. Do these things, and your music will always be compelling, and with any luck, successful. So I just want to say congratulations, Pacific Northwest Film Scoring Master of Music and Film Composition Class of 2022 graduates.
Now the moment you've all been waiting for, where we actually confer the degrees. Does everybody know who this is, by the way? This is Rusty. This is the school mascot. Sammy introduced Rusty to the program.
Designated comfort animal.
So when people are standing in line for their first conducting thing, they hover Rusty. Rusty gives good hugs. And what's the other what character's name? Rusty and Rufus.
Oh, Rufus.
And then there's a small, he has a little brother named Rufus. He's stable today. So there's a tradition that started about 6 years ago when I completed my doctorate at 60 years old. Kind of a weird point of life to go back to school, but I received a Doctor of Musical Arts from the University of Salford in Manchester, England, writing a thesis that was all about techniques of film composition, stuff these guys all got to study this year. So when you get your doctorate at the school, you walk up to the provost with a hat in your hands. And the provost takes the hat and puts it on your head, and that's when you become a doctor. So we decided that in conferring the degrees, but I should wear the hat. It's quite the English-looking thing. Yes, thank you. Kind of gives me special superpowers. As you can tell, this is not a traditional graduation, and so to hold with that, we have non-traditional hooding. So what's going to happen is that I'm going to call up Sammy Applegate, who is my assistant director. She will call up people by name. She will hand them their temporary degrees, because they don't actually get their degrees today. They get mailed to them after. And then they'll walk over to me, and I will hood the individuals. And then afterwards, you can get photos of everybody.
All right, I have a feeling that, can everybody actually hear me? Because I think my voice just like kind of goes this direction and falls up. Everybody, okay, exactly the mic doing this. All right, well, I just want to say a few words before I start calling people up. This was a very special class. It was the very, very first year that we ever did a hybrid program, where we had some students physically on campus and some students tuning in from home. And we were worried going into it that was going to be like a disconnect between the two groups and they weren't going to gel. And thankfully, this class kind of proved us wrong. It was all a very tight class. No major problems aside from occasional Zoom meetings and stuff like that. And so, yeah, we're looking forward to kind of continuing on with having a little residency program mixed in with on-campus students, especially as we continue to navigate the pandemic and, monkeypox and whatever other fun diseases come our way. So, thank you guys. It's been a great year. I really enjoyed having you. Just know that if I horribly butcher your name, that I'm doing it with love. So don't be offended. All right, here we go. Owen Anderton.